Good morning. Welcome to Key Questions for Key Staffers. My name is Jim Atterholt. I'm the Vice Mayor for the town of Fort Myers Beach. Thanks for joining us. The purpose of our show is to get out key information from key subject matter experts, particularly as it regards to the Hurricane Ian recovery. Abraham Lincoln said, "Let the people know the facts and the country will be saved." And this is our small attempt to kind of further that cause. And we have a very, very special guest with us this morning, Larry Peterson. And I'll get to Larry in just a second, but I wanted to just say to our friends in the media, of course, this is always posted on all the town's social media platforms, but we are so thankful to our friends in the media. Beach Talk Radio has been showing this before their particular shows. We asked our friends at the Observer, the News Press, the other local TV stations to link to it whenever possible, whenever it's connected to one of their stories, to help us get the word out. And we ask our friends on Facebook. So much great information has gotten around Fort Myers Beach as a result of Facebook. So if you like what you see and you think your friends and neighbors would be helped by this information, please link to this in your Facebook page so we can continue to help get the word out. Again, our special guest this morning, Larry Peterson. You're kind of a Renaissance guy. You're a little bit mysterious. You came from the state of Florida to help us. And you were here how soon after the storm?
So about 5 days after the storm, I came in. I was originally called in by the state, Kevin Guthrie, who is director of emergency management for.
He's the top person for the governor.
He's the top person for the governor. And so he asked me in. I'm a retired 31-year veteran from the Jacksonville Fire Department. I retired as a fire chief there. So I've chased storms for many years. And so
when you say chase storms, you're really, the governor and his team have teams on call for when a storm hits, and then when the storm does hit, you're already ready to go, and they kind of send you to particular areas.
So the situation is, anytime a storm is directed to go somewhere, teams are set up, depending upon how severe the storm is going to be. They will set up strike teams and different teams around the outside of the storm, and as soon as the winds are down enough that we can come in, our strike teams come in and start immediate search and rescue. That's all coordinated through the state emergency management. And so that all comes out of Tallahassee. They put everybody. They give teams, put teams from Jacksonville, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and out of the state. We had teams from New York. We had teams from Louisiana in here. So a big search and rescue. The first 3 or 4 days is very important in a search and rescue. Should you have been trapped in your house? Should you, trapped in the rubble? That's what they do. They come in and find people that are injured and need help. And so that's what our strike teams do. And actually, New Orleans and Jacksonville were the first people over the bridge on the island here. So that's what they do.
And where were they waiting? Were they outside?
So at one point they were in Orlando, and then they transferred them, as the storms won and moved, then they'll transfer them a little bit close. I mean, sometimes the guys sleep in auditoriums, a gymnasium somewhere. When they're on the island, they actually slept, our Jacksonville people slept at the foot of the bridge there, somewhere up under there where the teams are set up. You don't have a lot of assets. You bring what food to get you through until they get resources into you. So they want you to carry 2 or 3 days supplies that you can survive. They're sleeping in sleeping bags on the ground somewhere. You clear out a place and you sleep during the night when there's no rescue going on. So we actually bring in skid steers, which are small tractors, to clear the road out because obviously, as everybody knows, there's debris everywhere. The roads are not excluded from this path. So we come in with maybe 25, 30 people, a skid steer to keep the road cleared out. We drive the fire trucks and the rescue vehicles in and start search and rescue. It's done on a grid path, so that we know, the state knows that we have searched a certain grid, and that's marked off and done. So now we go so that you don't duplicate services and wasting time. To do a complete search and rescue of the entire area.
So I come in this morning to interview Larry. We're at the temporary town hall compound, which we'll talk about in a minute because Larry's instrumental in helping us organize this thing. And I see Larry and a team of people literally putting up, almost like Iwo Jima, putting up a flagpole with the American flag and the state of Florida flag. And tell us how that happened. It's now in the temporary town hall, but it's beautiful and it's great to have a flagpole here.
So that's what our intent right now is, to build a town hall. And listen, we're America. We're proud of our country. And so I went over the flagpole at City Hall was damaged and been over the old City Hall. And so we went over and cut it off and got some concrete and dug out a hole, and so now we represent America.
So you recycled the flagpole from the original temple.
We did all this at no cost.
I love it. So we're going to start today. Larry has done so many interesting things since he's been here. But one of the things that I think is so fascinating that I don't think our viewers know about, and quite frankly, I didn't realize all the intricacies of before I got here today, is that Larry has been instrumental in helping us. I think our viewers will remember there was an emergency room set up by the state and our partners at the Wyndham Hotel on the south end of the island. And it was open 24 hours a day, and you could go there, and if you cut your arm, or you got, my uncle had a situation where he was cleaning out his debris, and he had just small cuts all over his legs, and they went, and of course there wasn't any shower facilities at the time, so they went and they cleaned all his wounds and bandaged them all up. People are very, very nice, and that's been gone for a few weeks, and I just assumed it was just over and they moved on. But Larry and his team have brought that emergency room to the temporary town hall. And I just got a tour of it this morning, and they have an emergency room doctor on staff 24 hours a day who we met this morning. They have what almost looks like an Army hospital that's a mobile hospital unit with beds, and they have techs and all the equipment necessary. And Larry and I talked to the doctor this morning. He can do stitches, he can do x-rays, he can write scripts. And there is no charge to our folks here on the island who are not just residents, but if they're a contractor or somebody who's working on the island, can anybody use that?
This is brought in by the state, the governor's office, and they had set this facility up. They came in and asked us, for territories here, so we gave them a territory, and they have a system that's called a fort system. It's literally probably 4 foot wide and 20 foot long, and it folds out into a 20 by 20 building, which you saw 3 hooked together, full of beds. It's a 100% operating emergency room. So if you do have injuries, if you're cut, if you're having chest pains, whatever you have that you would normally go to any hospital, if you're close by here, stop by. If it's a trauma situation or if it's a serious heart attack, they're going to send you by rescue immediately to a trauma center.
Or maybe, Larry, you should, in that situation, you may just call 911 immediately, right?
If you're having that at home, obviously you're not going. But if you're going down the road and you feel bad and you're close by there, that would be my first stop, because you do have doctors and usually they have an ambulance on standby out front that they can transport you. So definitely, if you're injured, you cut. They've had people with a skid steer. It kind of, I don't want to say crushed a guy because that sounds weird, but he had been, pinned somewhat to there. So they've had some, some significant. Listen, things are going to get worse on this island as we start getting more construction. Saws cut people, hammers, nail guns. So so we don't know how long this will be here. Right now it's here, and that's important. If you have a problem, that you want to come to this emergency room if you have an issue.
But knowing how government works, if people start to use this facility here at the temporary town hall, and we can show some numbers that people are really utilizing this facility, that'll help our ability to keep it.
Yeah,
we make our argument, right?
The use is what's going to dictate how long it stays. If they're doing 2 or 3 patients a day, they're probably not going to, the state's not going to foot that bill because it's a very expensive bill.
Yes.
So that's what it's there for. If you have an emergency issue, it's not to go get a checkup. It's not to, for anything non-emergency. It is an emergency room, and we ask you to use it for that. So, yeah. And that was what I was originally sent in as we started before. I was sent in by the state to come in days after the storm because they knew that a fire station had been blown down. So I was called in to do an evaluation of public safety services. So I came in, I met with Chief Martin, and we toured his facilities. We toured what he needed, and then I sent my report back to the state. And at that point, he gave them the evaluation of what we needed, and once our fire station was down. So before I even got out of town, the state called back, Kevin Guthrie, and he says, "Can you build me a temporary fire station?" And I said, "Well, sure." In Jacksonville, I built 3 or 4 fire stations a year, and we would always, not always, a lot of times we would put in temporary fire stations to operate out for a year or so until we're ready to operate the main station. So that was the need. We picked the property. Luckily, the fire department had already owned this piece of property. We are at 2545 Estero.
And it's right next to the old town hall. It's where the Tops grocery store used to be.
Correct. And so that was their property. And so we're setting up in the front, actually going to get, I think our first buildings come in Friday. So we hopefully will be operating out of here within 3 weeks, maybe.
As a temporary fire station.
As a full-fledged fire station, but it's temporary until they build on this facility. So yeah, that's the.
You're going to be here for a little while.
They're going to be there until they get their building built.
Okay, yeah.
But the problem was with the way this district's set up, we have 33 way on the far end, on the south end,
which is on Linnell Street.
and then to the north, we have station 32, and then 31 right in the middle was down. Well, everybody knows that fire service operates in minutes and seconds. The quicker we can get to you, the quicker we can get to a house fire, we can, we'll have better results.
Particularly with the traffic on the island. It's all the more important to have.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
So the intent is to fill that pocket. We want to respond anywhere, hopefully within 3 to 4 minutes is our goal in the fire service. Obviously, the golden 3 minutes. So we need to get this fire station up and going as quick as possible.
So just to close the loop on the emergency room, which is quite frankly spectacular, and again, no charge to our residents and quite frankly, anyone who's working here on the island. And anything you would go to for an emergency room, it doesn't have to be, super traumatic. I mean, anything you would be tempted to go to emergency room on, come to the temporary town hall. You can park sometimes in front, right off the stairwell there, right?
There's an entrance sign right there. Yeah, there's plenty of parking out there right now. Once we get the fire station done, that will be where you'll come around the side. I don't know what road that is by town hall.
When you turn right at town hall, then you just kind of go to the back. There's all kinds of parking in the rear.
Yeah,
And then you can walk to this emergency room tent, which again is close to Estero Boulevard. So it's kind of on the corner, right across from the town hall, across the street from the town hall, right facing Estero. And I think you probably need to go through that special exit, especially if it's later at night, because the other town entrance would be closed, right behind the temporary town.
Oh yeah, behind is not. You want to go in the first one. There's a security guard there. You tell him what you're doing. He's going to immediately get you to the emergency.
And those are the codes right as you turn in next to the town hall.
The first opening in the gate when you turn right beside town hall.
Perfect. And again, we met the doctor this morning. He's eager to serve our community, and it's a tremendous service provided by the state. So thank you for that.
Once again, our governor has done a fantastic job. I have not called one time to the state EOC that they did not provide what we needed here.
Well, and let's as a community use that emergency room. Let's hopefully we won't have to, but hopefully we don't have an emergency. But for those who do, let's utilize these services because again, they've got to demonstrate some need here, and that'll help us be able to retain it here for a long time. Because as Larry said, there's going to be a lot of construction over this island the next year or two, and we really are going to need that emergency room facility. Just a side note, the doc said he could write scripts. But of course, we don't have a pharmacy. Just as an update on the CVS pharmacy, I've been talking to the lobbyist in Tallahassee for CVS, trying to get a good contact for the corporate contact with CVS, because CVS is unlike Publix, who's been extremely active in rebuilding. Haven't seen a lot of activity on CVS. CVS is the only pharmacy on the island, and I'm a little concerned, actually very concerned that there's not been any activity. I actually found out this morning the person who owns the building. I sent her an email, asked to meet with her, and encouraged and let her know that if there's anything the town can do to help them get permits, whatever they need to get that CVS back open, because wouldn't it be great to have a pharmacy back here on the island again so people don't have to go off island? So
yeah, so that's very important, and also, which we'll get to before we get back to the other. Well, let's kind of fade the story as it goes.
Okay.
So when I came in, I'm first originally dealing with the fire service with Chief Martin. And in our fire station 31, we had lost an engine in a rescue unit. And so he was kind of at wit's end there that,
forgive me, 31, was that the Mid-Island Fire Station?
That's correct. That's the one that was destroyed. So he had lost a fire truck in a rescue unit. So I come from Jacksonville, Florida, the largest landmass in the United States. We have 63 fire stations.
What do you mean the largest landmass in the United States?
Duval County is the largest one county in the United States.
So the largest county in the United States is Duval County. I never knew.
860 square miles.
Really?
Yes, sir. So we have a large fire department. So I told the chief, I said, let me see what I can do. So I went back, talked to our chief and our mayor in Jacksonville, and we got Jacksonville to donate not a brand new, 25,000 miles, one of our newer fire trucks. We donated a fire truck and a rescue unit to your county, to the fire district here in Fort Myers Beach. So Jacksonville being one of the bigger guys, we were pleased. The mayor was pleased to help. The fire chief was pleased to help to donate those assets to us. So then we're working along, and I'm working with the chief on developing what type of fire station we need here and what sizes and all of that. And so they're out there one day and they're getting a demonstration on some equipment and what's going on. And so he tells me, and he says, we lost all of our equipment in this fire station. So we don't, and I think it was Hearst equipment, Jaws of Life type equipment they were going through.
And I'm sorry, Larry, I'm going to see your moment there. The name of the street that you would drive down to go into Cones to the emergency room is Tropical Shores.
Tropical Shores.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just wanted, for
So-
people who are new to the community, just put that, there's no sign there, no street sign, so you just wanted to put that in your GPS. And then the address for the town hall is 2525 Estero Boulevard, and that'll get you to Tropical Shores.
That'll get you in the
First turn in. I'm sorry, keep going. Yes.
So anyhow, so they were looking at his equipment. He said, yeah, so obviously our funds are low. He said, we were hoping to get a grant somewhere. He said, we checked in Firehouse Subs, who has a grant program for fire service. He said, their applications don't open for 3 months. And I said, I have a friend. So I actually worked with Rob Sorensen and those who own Firehouse Subs. They just sold it here a few months back. I actually sat on the board for Firehouse Subs Safety. And so I said, let me make a call. I called Robin. I told him what was going on. I said, Robin, we got a problem here. We need this. He still works with the Firehouse Subs in a way. And he said, I think about a week and a half, we had $61,000 donated from Firehouse Subs to get this equipment. So remember, every time you go to Firehouse Subs and you see that donation pot up on that counter, this money goes to good needs. It's just another great thing from Firehouse Subs. So we were able to get them what they needed there pretty quick. And because that's where we're at. We're in a time of need and we need help from people all around. So I'm in the first week and a half of the fire station, putting that together.
Wait a minute. Let's go back, because you were here 5 days after the storm. I was here for the storm and then left after 4 days. Had to go to my wife's aunt and uncle in Naples because we just couldn't stay in our place any longer. So what was you've seen a lot of storms. You've seen a lot as a firefighter. What was your impression as you came to Fort Myers Beach?
Well, it was a lot like I was at Mexico Beach. It's just rubble.
Yeah.
It's devastation. I'd only been through this town one time before years ago. But it's a pile of rubble. It's if you haven't seen it, it's a hard thing to believe. And I'll tell you a little story as this goes on of what happened to me for the first time that I never ever experienced before.
I don't want to forget that.
But it's literally the debris has been pushed to the side of the road so you can go down, and it's just piles of lumber and furniture everywhere. So then I'm working at Town Hall, which where we were set up there. We had a large setup at that point because the state had a compound here for workers and all. So
how did that come to be?
Well, that comes in everything. The state's going to immediately send that in, just like they do search and rescue. They send support teams in with the sleeper trailers, the food trailers. They put in a temporary washing facility. One semi has washers and dryers down each side, so that the search and rescue people can bring their stuff. They come back a few hours later and their stuff's washed and it keeps them going. We have bath trailers, shower trailers.
And it worked well because we had this open piece of land right next to the
It worked
town,
perfect.
near the fire station you were helping to build.
It worked perfect. So I'm on scene working out of here. Basically, I'm staying in a motorhome up San Carlos. I brought my motorhome, so I'm sleeping up there, and coming down here to commute to work. And so the then mayor and town manager came to me and said, "Hey, look, our town hall was washed out. Can you build us a temporary town hall?" So I said, "Well, you have to put in a mission to the state." So I have a consulting firm, and that's how I was brought down before. So they put in a mission to the state to ask me to build a town hall. So then I was brought in, and so they hired me for that. So then I came in to start developing and building what we're ended up now is what we're actually almost finished with. And so,
well, we've been getting these new, what do you call these things?
these are just construction modulars.
Construction,
Yeah.
what we're getting, but they're much nicer than the tents that we originally had.
Oh yeah. Well, we had brought in our, so actually when I was a fire chief in Jacksonville, I had built these emergency operation trailers that you see, which is a semi that has slide outs on both sides. And ours, because that was in 2000, probably 8 or 9, maybe 10, about 9, when I had built that original trailer, was $1 million funded by the state. And so it is called around to disasters and emergencies everywhere, because when it opens up, it's a fully operational office.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to see probably 25 plus people in an office desk type situation for emergency operations. this is the perfect thing it's used for.
And that became the command and control.
That becomes a command center, and in the operations, we had tents and that. So ended up bringing a second one from the state, which was just built. So from 2000 to now, they went from $1 million. The last one was, I think, 2.2 or 2.4 million. So we brought another secondary in because obviously we're trying to run the entire city out of these facilities. So we bring those in. They have a support team that comes with them to support the operation inside. So we operated out of those and some tents until we could get contracts and get set up to build this new temporary town hall.
And the new temporary town hall with again, these nice new trailers, is that all funded by FEMA?
This is all funded by the state.
By the state?
The state comes in. So you have categories that things fall into. There's a category A, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think category A is emergency paid by the state, and that's to immediately fix the bridge that it took to get over to the island over there. Any washouts in the road, it's immediately paid for. There's no waiting there, whatever. So Cat B is what we're falling into. I'm under Cat B, and that's emergency systems that needs to be operational right now. Fire station, city hall, any function that we need to get up and running, that falls under Cat B, and that's paid 100% by the state to get us operational. So everything that we're doing here is funded by the state.
I don't want to lose that story you were going to tell about something you had.
No, that's going to come. That's going to come a little bit down the road as we're going. So I'm in now, and we're at the point of I have a mission to build you a city hall. Then I was asked. It was really funny when they asked me. Said, "Hey, can you go over and check out the gym over there?" And I kind of thought to myself, I'm like, this guy's worried about getting a gym when we're in the middle of a disaster or whatever. Well, I go around the corner, which I haven't been able to see this, and there's this beautiful Bay Oaks gym that had been 90 inches underwater. The water line was left at 90 inches there. So beautiful facility, concrete block facility, no wind damage with the roof. And all that.
I had a chance to walk over there about a month ago. I went in, it was open, I went inside. It didn't look horribly damaged.
Well,
there's a lot of stuff
I brought a crew in that cleaned out the inside, pressure washed all the inside. Early on. Well, immediately when they told me this, and we got another mission from the state to build that for a longer term temporary hall. Obviously, it's going to take us 3 months or so to get this facility up and running. We just got through the bid process. So now, once the council votes to approve this, then we'll start construction of that. 3 to 4 months, we should be able to move all of your people into a hard building and out of trailers.
So under this vision, all these temporary trailers, at least most of them, will shift over to Bay Oaks, and that will become the interim town hall.
No trailers will shift about. Bay Oaks will become your building.
But these will go away then?
These will go away.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this will all go away.
And so when Bay Oaks becomes the new town hall until we build a permanent structure, one of our challenges, and it's an opportunity, one of the great things we were able to do, the parents of the school have been so awesome. They fought really hard with the help of the school board and the superintendent to save our beach school, which has been tremendous. We still have some hurdles to cross, but we've at least crossed the precipice of where they were very fearful it was going to be closed. Now I think it's got a potential life to it, which is wonderful for our community. Now, a lot of those kids probably won't start till this fall. We want to make sure that, because the town hall will be in Bay Oaks, but we also have after-school programs for the school that go to Bay Oaks. Is it possible to fashion a solution within Bay Oaks?
So I think it is going to be. That's a very large building.
Yeah.
So once we get office space for all of your staff with the city permitting, everything. That's going to that will certainly be able to be.
And as you look at Bay Oaks, you envision them putting up sort of temporary cubicles, and how do you?
So we have some office space. The other place where there was workout equipment, you can put 2 to 3 offices in there. There's an office at the front door. So
about the weight room there.
The weight room.
Yeah, there's a couple of little meeting rooms as you come in.
Correct. So I think you'll be able to put. The much needed. You may need a few tables outside, but you can put some petitions around.
Can you put some windows in there? Can you?
No, we can't add any windows in. It's I think you're gonna be fine.
Okay.
I think you'll be in good shape there. It seems to be. So we have that cleaned out. Then we brought in and wrote the scope of work for a bid to get it back up, rewired, re-air conditioned, alarm
The
systems.
hope is to be there in 3 months roughly.
That's our goal.
Yeah,
That's our
sure.
goal. So as soon as we can get this through council, we can get to work.
Okay.
Contractors all are ready to go, whichever one wins it. They're all ready to go.
Great.
So we start on it. So then Kevin Guthrie's in, which Kevin actually lived down in Fort Myers for several months during this thing. I mean, he was right here in the middle of it. So he's over, we start doing a tour one day, and he's getting a lot of people saying, hey, I can't get my prescription refilled. My doctor's office was blown away. When are we going to do something? We need this. So Kevin turns around and says, can you build me a temporary doctor's office? And I said, well, sure, we can do that. So right outside of City Hall boundaries, right across from the emergency room, Beth Allman, I think is her name. The name Beaches Health Center, I think it was her office down there. So her patients and any other patients on the island can come in to see her. Now, there will be a cost to that. Obviously, that's her livelihood, but she will be up and in operation here, hopefully again, within 3 weeks. We hope to have her in
And
operation.
forgive me, will her office be in the temporary town hall structure?
No, it's right behind it. And you see one trailer outside now. The other one's coming today to make that. It's a double wide just like this. This is a triple wide.
But it will be within the fenced compound.
Absolutely. It'll be in the same fence compound as Town Hall.
And she would be just a normal physician for wellness checks and regular checkups. Just
Correct. I think she's actually a PA, but
Okay,
she
she's
can
a PA.
write your prescriptions. She can, if you're coming in with a problem, she can take care of all of that. She, just like you would go to her doctor's office, she probably won't have as much equipment as she had there, but we'll certainly be able to get the people who have been her normal patients. And the other doctor was here, which, I don't know if they're coming back or not. I've heard different.
Is that from the med check at Santini Plaza or?
And maybe there was one other doctor because Kevin Guthrie offered both doctors operation, an operational
So
office.
we facilitated office space for the docs that had previously practiced
Only
prior to the storm.
That's correct.
And and she should be open in, like you say, 2 or 3 weeks?
I'm hoping 3 weeks. We got the first half there. They're bringing the other half today. I'm sure it'll take 2 or 3 days to get that up. Met with some electrical people today to get electric service in. I need to get water and sewer in. I've got the water taps. I'm waiting for the sewer taps for City Hall and others. We're obviously having to use porta trailers.
Yep.
And all of that for our restroom facilities until we get tapped into water and sewer. Our main goal is to get services to the city as quick as we can. Everybody needs permitting process done. Everybody's wanting to get their work done out there. So they have to come through here. We have to get operational as quick as possible so that we can get your permits processed. And I say that asking you to please bear with us. You got to remember, such as you said your house was messed up. We're the people here trying to operate the city, and we have our own disasters just like you had. So if we all work together on this, we can make this work. We can't do it with a bunch of fighting and squabbling and screaming and hollering. I can promise the people of this city that they are doing everything they can here to be as punctual as they can. But there's less help here than we had before because we've lost people, and there's more permits than we've ever had before. So bear with us, work with us, and we will get this city rebuilt. This place in 4 years will be a remarkable place.
I think it'll be less than 4 years, Larry.
Well, let me explain to you that construction don't pop up and permits don't just come here and tomorrow you got a permit. It takes a process. The process is a long process, and then you come with supplies. I mean, there's literally garage doors. I had to in Jacksonville wait 3 months for roll-up doors. There's a shortage around the country of all supplies, so
No
it's going to
question
take a
about
battle.
it.
We want to get it done as quick as you do.
I agree, and I use this term, and I was talking with Anita last week on this show, and I use this term functional paradise, where within a year, Margaritaville's going to open in less than a year. Most of our big hotels will be
We will
open.
have a functional paradise. You're correct.
That's what I'm talking
We
about.
will not have all the big, beautiful buildings built,
Everything won't be
but
done.
we will have a functional. I say in a year you have a functional paradise.
That's exactly the message I want to get out.
Listen, you've got a beautiful place. I live across the street from the ocean, so the story there is I'm in a parking lot in a bowling alley down here, and I become friends with the guy who owns it. And he says, "Man, take that motorhome." When he found out I was going to be here a few months, he said, "Man, take that motorhome. I got a house you can come live in." This man has given me a beautiful house to live in, apartment
On the island.
on the island, right across the street from the ocean. I wake up to a view that makes me want to move here.
Are you living in your camper then, or are you living?
No, he gave me a house.
Okay.
He gave me a house fully functional,
And
decorated.
he did that because he knows you're helping the cause, right? Yeah.
The people of this town have been incredible. When I go to eat, when I go to the tiki bar, and people find out what you do, it's crazy and how appreciative they are. I was out. I'm a little bit hyper, so I tend to want to work more. I came the day after Christmas, I guess it was. No, day after New Year's when I came back to town. And out in front of where the fire station is, it drives me crazy seeing all this sand on the side of the roads and the sidewalks.
Yes, thank you. Big
So I got out and I was cleaning, shoveling up the sand all across the front of our block here at Town Hall. And I was shoveling up, and I can't tell you how many times the people will come out and holler out the window, "Thank you." And they don't know who the heck I am.
Right.
Thank you, and do the heart sign. And one guy actually stopped. He said, "Man, I appreciate what you're doing. We got to clean this town." He said, "I had to come help you." We've got to work together to start getting this done. And let me tell you, down Estero Boulevard, if everybody would take the front of their businesses, houses, or whatever, clean that sand off and get it cleaned up. We're getting the trash out of the way. We're pretty much done there. Until they tear down a new building, the trash stays pretty clean. That's going to start our beautification of the city.
And Larry, that's such a great point. One of the things I'd love to see is an organized effort to have people not just who live along Estero, but all those roads that intersect with Estero Boulevard. If everybody takes their push broom, comes down and does their block and pushes that sand off, and I'm sure there's going to be more debris occasionally that's going to come on, but for the most part, that could have a huge impact.
Can you imagine if we had a cleanup day and the people from this island all came together, everybody brought a shovel and a wheelbarrow. We'll provide tractors. We can take skid steers as they get it piled up and haul it out of the way. We could have this town cleaned up in no time. But I said it earlier, we have to do this together.
Yes.
Your city cannot afford to hire what it would take to make all this happen too quick. But we can all work together in this city, and I'll be a part of it. And I don't live here, but I would be glad to be a part of it, of a cleanup program to let's clean Estero up and start down these side streets. Everybody who's healthy can help this. And let me tell you, it will make you feel good. It's the beach is getting pretty clean, the shoreline of the beach. So let's move out and let's get the Estero cleaned up down there. And it just makes you feel so much better when you do this. The story I was telling you about, so that I wanted to tell you that it's never happened to me before. You hear of all these people with these, from coming back from the war or the PDS, that they got this mind deal. I've never thought a lot about that and didn't understand it. I lived here for probably a good 2 months. Hardly ever going out of here, maybe going to a restaurant up the road. I had to go to Fort Lauderdale to look at some trailers for bringing down here I got into Fort Lauderdale, and all of a sudden I felt overwhelmed. Now, I've been everywhere you can imagine in this country and around the world, and all of a sudden I was overwhelmed. I was in a bunch of very vibrant, happy people, all these big buildings, and everything was bright. And for about a minute or two, I felt like I was being closed in on. And I think this is what these people do that have been in a war, that have been in all these terrible surroundings, and it's hard to deal with what you're in now. And it was really overwhelming to me for about a minute or two. And I'm like, wow, I had to kind of get a hold of myself because I was just overcome with a little bit of emotion. And it's like that I was, it was really strange.
And the storm has impacted, and it's so hard for people because everybody's been impacted differently to different degrees, and people handle it differently. So it's a very challenging time, but the hope, the optimism, the kindness, the acts of grace and volunteerism that you see on this island, it's so encouraging.
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
It is. But you know what? That's what America does. We can fight and bicker out here, but we all come together in time of need.
Amen.
And we need to do that on this island right now. We need to support your council, your city people here, and we need to get out and clean up where we can to help get this island back to the paradise that it should be.
I appreciate that so much, Larry. And one of the ways I like to end the show, I like to get a little background to our viewers about our guest. And I found out just talking to you prior, just a day or two ago, that one of your early careers before you got into public safety was you were a professional boxer.
Yeah. So
talk a little bit about that. That's fascinating because you were going to go to the Olympics. Is it 76?
So I was a very poor brought up very poor. And at 11 years old,
Where did you grow up?
in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
I had my first fight at 11 years old. My brother-in-law was a boxer, and I saw some small kids fight when I was 11. So I said, hey, I want to do that. So I had my first fight at 11.
With gloves on or a street?
With gloves, no,
Okay.
a regular fight. And so my career went on, and in 1971, I became a part of the USA All-Star team to go to the Olympics. And I lost in 72, early 72. I lost out in the finals to go to Munich.
In the trials?
For the Olympics, yeah. So I lost out in the Eastern Olympic trials in Cincinnati, Ohio in 72. And so I came home and I said, look, if I'm going to get beat on anymore, I'm going to get paid for this. So I turned pro immediately after I came back from Cincinnati. I turned pro when I was 16 and had a great career. I was welterweight. I was lightweight, moved into welterweight division. And I was ranked 27th in the world, and that's what I did for a living until I was 24.
What was it like being a professional boxer in the 70s and late 70s?
So you got to think boxing is not the greatest sport in the world. It
is from a physical training standpoint.
The intent is to do as much bodily damage as I can to you and try to render you unconscious.
Yeah.
Not a real good scenario, what you would think. From where I came from, very poor, it made a very great life for me because I was very successful. And I've had more opportunities than you could ever believe with the people that it connected me with. From the Dundies and Miami I got to spend time with Muhammad Ali. I sparred with Sugar Ray Leonard. I had a great career.
You sparred with Sugar Ray Leonard?
Yeah, for one of his fights in Miami. And so I had a great career. I ended up at 56-6 as a pro. I was a Southern welterweight champion. And so I was very lucky and it gave opportunities to me that a lot of people don't get. That I would have never got before.
Did you fight around the world too?
Never went out of the country. I had a chance to go to London, but I didn't. But fought all around. I fought in Madison Square Garden.
Did you really?
Yeah, fought the number 5th contender of the world, Johnny Turner. And I had great opportunities and got to be around a lot of great people.
And then you got into firefighting after that, is that right?
So I did. I retired from that about a year or two later. I signed up for the Jacksonville Fire Department and had a 31-year career that I loved going to work every day, and I hated to go home the next morning. We worked 24 hours, so you run it up. Hated to go home the next day. It's a career you can go to just like the guys that came here. They go home with experience of the feeling of you did something good. Every day in firefighting, you don't know if this morning when you get up and go to work, are you going to deliver a baby? Or are you going to pull a family out of a house? Or am I going to cut you out of a car? It's a great, rewarding job. And it's just unbelievable career. So matter of fact, what I did, obviously everybody starts riding a fire engine. So I was a chief for 8 years downtown. My last 8 hours on the job, I went back and rode a fire truck. Wow. So I wanted to go out the way I came in because that's the fun part of the job. Administration wasn't the fun part.
Right.
The fun part is riding the fire truck and going to fires.
Well, Larry, on behalf of the people of Fort Myers Beach, thank you for your service, not just here, but throughout your whole career in public service. And we want to thank the governor and the people of the state of Florida for sending you and your team this our way, because we sure appreciated the help from the state and from you and all of our state partners, our county partners, our federal partners. That's what's really making this work, because we're all working together and we're doing the very best we can under very adverse circumstances. So I want to thank our viewers for watching this. Help spread the word about the emergency room. And again, if you have the ability to share this on Facebook with your friends and neighbors and link to it, that would be wonderful. But we appreciate your time, and we appreciate you being with key questions, with key staffers. And thanks so much for being with us. God bless.
Don't buy solar panels. Seriously, there is a very good reason why we're saying this. If you're thinking about buying